Hey, this is Lisa Miranda at Coffee Chronicles, where we know and explore everything coffee.
From the best cafes in the world to where they actually grow the coffee. To amazing people. All over the globe.
So stay tuned and enjoy the show.
Today on Coffee Chronicles, we take you to the Big Apple and the Peach State of Georgia. These two very unique and very different cafes are known for having the best coffee in their respective areas. First up, Revelator Coffee. Here's our host, Lisa Miranda.
The coffee scene in Atlanta is fairly new, and leading the charge of this fresh new wave in the city is Revelator Coffee. Revelator is family-owned, and it celebrates relationships formed over good, fresh coffee.
Hey, this is Lisa Miranda at Coffee House Chronicles, and today we're on the west side of Atlanta, Georgia at Revelator Coffee. Super excited to meet up with the team here.
Lisa, you made it.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Eden Marie. I am the director of coffee for Revelator. Super excited you made it. Let's go on inside and I'll get you some tasty treats.
Yay! Can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yes, so as the director of coffee for Revelator, I like to think of myself as the ambassador between our green buyer sourcing our coffee, our amazing roaster, and then all of our retail locations. So I oversee our training department, and we all work one-on-one with our team members and getting feedback from customers just to kind of curate this beautiful experience.
So what's your favorite part about the job?
Coffee?
Yes.
I get to drink coffee all day long. It's people. It's seeing this connection between your coworkers and your baristas. It's seeing the connections and the friendships that I've made with all of our kind of people in the company. And it's definitely seeing those connections happening with our guests that are coming in. Just watching a busy cafe, watching someone in silence being creative, watching some of the gallery openings we have, and then even watching those just like friend groups coming and having a genuinely beautiful moment. And I feel like I get to be the silent observer of those connections. And I'm gonna blame it all on coffee. I think coffee is the medium that allows those connections to happen.
I feel like they need a name for that. You know how, like, if you go to a bar, there's actually a mixologist. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a name for a barista who's just kind of like, I'll remix whatever you want.
Completely. And it's something that's a funny thing. Barista to us, I remember when I started in coffee, and I would introduce myself to a stranger. I'm Eden, I'm a barista. And they'd say, what's that? And you have to define it. And something magical has happened in the past decade where everyone knows what a barista is. Yeah. Everyone has seen latte art. It's becoming more and more common knowledge, and that just allows us to like push the boundaries a little bit more and just kind of share education in a really welcoming, approachable way. I never want to be the coffee preacher, but just sharing what I can, because I think it will give you a tasty experience or a tasty cup.
It's awesome. And this location, it's very minimalist, it's very clean, there's a lot of really nice natural air.
Yes. So clean, crisp, minimalist, light colors. Again, I think that kind of lends back to subconsciously, like we want the coffee to speak for itself. We want the products to speak for itself. And we also want you to make this space whatever you want it to be.
And I know you guys add some coffees to your menu seasonally. Mm-hmm. What do you guys currently have?
So we have coffee. We rotate our single origin coffees, so coffees from one specific farm, region, country. We rotate those seasonally depending on what's fresh. So right now we have some beautiful coffees just landed from Ethiopia, which I love coffees from Ethiopia. It's the birthplace. We have an awesome coffee from Burundi, which has some really unique, like sweet fruit notes that are coming out. And then we also have some really awesome coffees from Peru. And Peru is not always something that you'll see on everyone's menu, but we've cultivated some really genuine relationships with producers there. And I'm so excited to see where those coffees go year after year and as they progress.
Oh, well, I want to try one of these from Ethiopia that you mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. Let's get some coffee over here.
All right, let's have some coffee.
Okay. I think Brian has some right here.
Thank you. really nice.
I think.
Yeah, I can taste a whole lot of flavors in it.
Coffees from Ethiopia are always super unique to me because we say it's the birthplace of coffee. So this is where coffee comes from. But that also means that there's this highest concentration of, it's gonna sound nerdy, genetic mutations. Because coffee's had the longest time as a plant to kind of grow and do its own thing and diversify.
Can you tell me about some of the coffees you guys have on your menu year-round?
Yes. So all of our locations are always gonna have our staple blends on our shelves year-round. Our equivalent to like a house blend is going to be a blend that we call petunias. We have a little bit of a more developed roast profile, which we will call mesfet. They have these names because we draw strong influence from Southern female writers. So petunias is going to be alluding to one of Alice Walker's works, Flannery O'Connor, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. We pull from these different works that inspire us and kind of describe those characteristics of the blends that we keep on our shelves. So it's one of those things that we kind of keep in our pocket of like,
Yes.
we like this. Not all consumers are going to know, but when we can share that story, we of course want to.
So Eden, you guys participate in some coffee competitions.
We sure do.
Tell me about
So
that.
coffee competitions are this really vibrant, almost subculture of the coffee industry. And there's a variety of different competitions that people can participate in. So we have things like barista competition, which I've participated in quite many times. But those are what we call fully choreographed service routines, meaning we're mic'd up, we are judged on our technical ability to do several courses of coffee-based drinks, but we're also judged on presentation and being able to accurately describe what's in the cup and just bring our judges on this journey with us through our timed routine.
Right, while smiling.
While smiling and working and perfectly clean, no pressure. But it's really fun, and it's fun in multiple ways. One, if you're a competitive person like me, it kind of feeds that energy. But it also gives you this opportunity to watch all your other competitors. So you're seeing all these different competitors bring something else to the stage every single time. Our roaster, Cameron Heath, is also a renowned competitive roaster, so there's roasting competitions as well. We believe that our baristas are doing a lot of this by hand. So we're doing a lot of what we call manual brewing. We're doing a lot of the espresso process manually, but we also pair that with just exceptional, well-crafted technology. We'll always kind of play and dabble with the new technology, but we want something that's going to be steadfast and high quality.
Since the company is in the South, do you notice a different culture than coffee shops in other places that you've been?
Yes and no. So the one thing, as coffee culture is growing and coffee shop culture has become the norm, even more so in the past 5 years in America, it's normal for people to go out and to have their really specific espresso-based drinks or coffee drinks that they're looking for. They have specific orders, they have alternative milks, they have things that they're looking for. One of the beautiful things is we have seasons here. So as the weather's changing and as the temperature's changing, we go from cold snow to 105 degrees and it's humid. So I noticed that we have really seasonal drinks and needs for our menus. So we'll go through and we'll play with some like fun seasonal drinks that we can put together. So whether that's a flavored latte in the winter, a lot of like the chai lattes are really popular. And then we go into the summer, which starts in the spring. Right. And it gets hot. So we need something cool and refreshing. We definitely do a lot of iced coffee. And then beyond that, iced coffee, the big trend right now is cold brew, which is going to be coffee that's brewed without the use of heat. So it's just coarsely ground coffee, water, hanging out anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. The advantages of that, you're getting a really full flavored iced coffee that won't be diluted in ice, but you're getting less acidity. So sometimes iced coffee that's brewed with hot water and put on ice can be kind of sharp and tangy. Cold brew is going to be rounder body, mellow, just this really approachable drink that you can enjoy through many day parts.
Right.
So we have our cold brew that we serve everywhere. We have a cold brew nitro, which is going to be infusing nitrogen into the cold brew using a tap system. What that does is it's going to yield a drink that has like a creamy head, similar if you had like a Guinness or a beer that was on a nitro tap. And then we're also kind of playing around and doing some bottled beverages as well. So we have some cold brew in a bottle. We have a cold brew fizz, which is going to be our fun take on like a natural soda with a coffee base. It's not super coffee forward, but it's just like a really beautiful take on a soda.
Right. This is making me like want to go to a barbecue or something. Like, and just take some of these and just chill out.
That's Southern hospitality. We're like, come on over, have some coffee, try all the things.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course, I'm so glad you came by.
Thank you for having me.
Now we head to the Big Apple for a taste of what many consider to be the best cup of coffee in New York City. Here's Lisa Miranda with the delicious details.
In this beautiful former paint store in Bushwick, Brooklyn, sits Variety Coffee Roasters. Variety is one of the first coffee shops in Brooklyn to serve third wave coffee. Third wave coffee is a movement to produce high quality coffee and consider coffee artisanal, like wine, rather than a commodity. At Variety, they value quality and simplicity and lets the coffee speak for itself. We hear ya.
So I'm super excited to connect here with Nick, who is a coffee expert. Actually, we met him in Costa Rica. I'm super excited to talk about all things sustainability, good coffee, and international perspective. Hi!
How's it going?
How are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Good.
Good to be here.
Tell us again where we met you.
Yeah, so we met at Cafeoteca in San Jose, Costa Rica, which is one of my favorite shops down there. In San
How
Jose.
amazing is that?
It was such a funny sequence of events. I happened to see you guys there shooting about one of my favorite coffee shops in origin country, and now here we are together in New York.
I love it. And what do you do?
So I work in sustainability in the coffee industry. I work for a nonprofit, and we evaluate the sustainability of supply chains for different coffee roasters. And we actually visit farms, and we look at their practices and try to tell the true story of what's taking place on the ground in these countries.
Oh, wow. So who are we meeting here?
So we're going to be meeting Mike from Variety Coffee Roasters.
Okay.
Here he is.
Hi. Listen, I'm going to be honest. When he said we're meeting Mike Jones, I was expecting someone a little different. But I'm happy to meet you.
Hey, good to see you, Mike.
Yeah. All right, let's have some coffee.
All right, see you guys.
Hey, Mike, so this is a really lively environment, and can you tell me, what is that I hear in the background?
That's our roaster. So we roast 5 days a week, and we're just in the middle of production right now. We roast for all 5 of our cafes throughout New York City, as well as for wholesale customers throughout the country.
What is the vibe of the cafe?
Our vibe is people first. So everywhere we open, we're really careful to make sure that the cafe is suited for the neighborhood. So here in Bushwick, you'll notice a lot of reclaimed wood, exposed brick. The energy is much more lively and upbeat. We want to be open to everybody. So we do that by just letting our coffee speak for itself a little bit. So when you walk in here, you might be able to tell a little bit just from the energy that it's going to be something a little bit fancy maybe, but beyond just that initial impression, you're not going to have any other indication until you get your coffee. And we want someone to walk in, be able to buy a $2 cup of black coffee, walk out the door, get it with a smile, not even have any idea that what they're getting is some of the most expensive coffee that you can possibly buy, and then have them get on the train, it's cooled down, you take the sip, and you're like, oh my God, oh, this is so good. And so then they'll tell everyone about it, they'll come back here. So especially in the morning, we just have a line out the door at all locations. And New York is, the greatest city in the world, of course.
That's
so
right.
there are some of the most interesting, influential, special people here, and all of them are drinking our coffee, going to whatever they do, and that's, I think, kind of been our vibe. It's just that we just want people to talk about us, to know that it's good, and we don't necessarily need to even sell that until now.
There you go.
So I had them make us a couple cappuccinos. Here's with almond milk.
Thank you.
Cappuccino is how I like to start every day. It's like comfort coffee, It is our Lucky Shot espresso, which is an Ethiopian coffee right now, and I think it's really great in milk. And yeah, enjoy it.
Let's have some coffee.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. The only thing we do differently is we roast it specifically for how it's going to be drank. So this cappuccino right here, we're not just roasting this Ethiopian coffee one way and just being well, you just make it as espresso, make it a cappuccino, make it a cold brew. We're doing all that on the back end. So for espresso, we're roasting it to a higher temperature so that you can get some of these brighter, sweeter flavors out that come through in milk, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And then for cold brew, we roast it longer, develop it more, so that way you get more body and more, it basically tastes like chocolate milk in cold brew.
The cold cold brew. I heard about your cold brew.
Yeah, so the cold brew is kind of what we're famous for. Our cold brew is so good because, first of all, we're spending a lot of time making sure that we're roasting it so that it's going to taste good as cold brew. But also, a lot of other companies are just using their old crop coffees that they don't really care about. Basically, cold brew is an afterthought. People think that because you're just putting it in cold water overnight and people are going to add milk and sugar to it, that they don't really care if it's what quality the beans are. They think you don't need to put the same attention that you would into espresso. And we found if we use just as nice beans, you know, the most expensive beans we can find, and spend just as much time making sure that it's roasted properly as any other coffee, that it's as simple as that. We don't do anything else special as far as how we prepare it. You'll notice a lot of companies have these elaborate, like Willy Wonka style devices to make iced coffee,
Right.
and they make this huge deal about how that is why it's good. But with any coffee, what makes it good is the green and how it's roasted. That's it. So if you buy really good coffee and you roast it really, really well, you don't need the technique is all kind of showmanship, like how you're making it, you know, what machine you're using, what your recipe is. That's all. The only reason that all matters is so that you can have a consistent result, right? You want to be able to produce the same thing every time.
Mike, tell me about the culture of the coffee shop.
Well, so we believe that the most important thing for a coffee shop is the people. And that might sound pretty cliche, but a lot of people lose sight of that. Both the customer and the employee are the most important thing. So we want to make sure that the customer is happy and that they're getting what they want, which usually in New York is just really good coffee as fast as possible with a smile. People don't want frills here. They want it good and they want it now. And then the most important thing is the person making that coffee. If they're not happy, if they're not taken care of, you're going to get a sense of that, and it's just going to trickle down and your experience is going to be negative. So we believe strongly in paying a living wage. And so our mission since day one has always been to pay as much as we possibly can and make sure the baristas are taken care of.
Wow.
And so right now in New York, there's a big movement going on called the Fight for 15. It's led by fast food workers who are going on strike, and they're trying to get the minimum wage bumped up to $15. A lot of other cities have been following suit on this, and that's a pretty significant jump. You know, when I first moved here, I can't remember, it was below 10, I believe.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so it's been, and I've only been here, you know, less than 10 years. So this is a lot, and it's a big deal. And not only do we support it, but we're pushing for it as much as we can. We really want to make sure that employees are paid a living wage, which in New York City is a fair amount of money. It's hard to live here. We don't want our employees to have to live an hour and a half away where they have to commute in from Jersey or something. We want them to be able to live in the neighborhoods that we're making coffee in.
So Mike, what are we doing over here?
So this is our roaster. This is where we roast 5 days a week for all of our coffee shops. You can see there's computers. It looks really high tech.
Right.
And basically that's so that we can repeat results. So the most important thing for quality is consistency, right?
Right.
If you can't do it again, then how are you going to be able to produce something that's delicious? So we have different roast profiles for every coffee. And we build it specifically for that bean and for how that bean is going to be made. Like I was talking about earlier with our Ethiopian Duramina, we have it here for espresso, for cold brew, and then for filter. And this is the same green coffee roasted completely differently so that it will perform the best under its brewing, under how it's brewed. So for espresso, for instance, it's going to be a much higher temperature so that you can get some of that bright, sweet notes out of it. For cold brew, we're going to roast it longer, develop it more so that you can get more body. And then for the filter, it's going to be a lower temperature, a kind of gentler touch, so that way when you make a full cup of it, you can get everything it has to offer.
I'll tell you, Mike, I'm not going to lie to you. I see the data in the notebook. I'm like, this is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it's serious business. It's not just like cooking where you're just frying something on the stove. Like you need to be able to make sure that you can repeat what you're doing. So it's reading temperatures for the air going in, the air going out, what the temperature of the bean is inside, what the temperature of the air outside is. We're basically tracking all of that, and they all make a difference in how the roast is going to go. So you change the heat depending on how those lines are going. You can see that they're all curves, right?
Right.
So you have our temperature that's going up. You have how fast it's going up. You have how fast the air coming in is going up. And basically,
Oh, wow.
it's like a really elaborate paint by numbers where we're following these lines that we have. They're basically recipes that we've built.
Okay.
And they're charts. And then we're just trying to follow them after we've set the recipe to make sure that it's as consistent as possible.
Okay, wow. So if I buy something here today or next month, it's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, if it's the same coffee, we will roast it the same. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, your host, Lisa Miranda, and I'll see you at the next city.
It uses a lot of relate, especially as...
And she's also a terrific host.
Excuse me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee Chronicles here in Medellin, Colombia. With me, Lisa Miranda. Till next time. Sorry. Thank you for watching. To the best people, to some of all of coffee farms. Welcome to, I need a second. Oh, you guys all looked away. I thought, oh, you wanted me to stop. I thought it was the sound. Welcome to Cafe. Adios. Thank you for watching me today. Welcome to Coffee House Cafe.